Hey everyone, in this video let's explore some of the array methods in JavaScript. So I'm creating a new file inside datatypes folder and I'm naming it as arraymethods.js. One thing I'll strongly recommend or suggest you is just follow the folder organization as it is, like what I am doing or how I am doing. Okay, just follow same, just create the same folders and same files. Okay, file names as well. That will really help you when it comes to interviews. Okay, now I am naming it as arraymethods.js. Now let's say I have defined an array called as players again. Players, how is the array definition or array syntax look like? It has something called as opening or closing square brackets. Now let's say I have defined an array called as players and its value is nothing, it's an empty array, and I'm inserting few values like let's say Sachin, Rahul, Dhoni inside it. So there are three values or three elements in this particular array called as players. So I'm creating an array called players which is holding three strings. Now I will be able to call some methods and properties over this array called as players. Remember, array is an object data type and it has properties and methods, right? So unlike strings, this is not like strings where string is mainly wrapped around an object. It is not a primitive, it is a primitive data type, right? So it is not, strings do not have any properties or methods inbuilt to them. So we use external wrapping around it, like, and make them like objects and use object methods on them. But array is natively an object data type in JavaScript, so we can call methods and properties directly on strings. So the first thing I can do is I'm checking the length of this particular array players. So how to check the length of the array? I'm doing console.log of players.length. There is a property called as length. The definition is, it gets or sets the length of the array. So length is nothing but how many elements are there in the array, and this is a property. Length is a property. It is providing some information, right? The information regarding the length of an array, so it is known as property. So I'm saving this file and executing this piece of code, node array methods .js. So it is telling me that the output is 3, meaning it has 3 elements in that particular array. Now there are 3 elements in the particular array, right? So now I am able to add something to the array, either at the beginning or ending of the array. We could also add elements at the middle indexes. We will not be seeing them now, but we will cover in level 1. For now, just learn how to add elements to the beginning and end of the array. So there are 3 elements in the array, and if we want to add more elements to this, either at the beginning or at the end of the array, we have some methods inbuilt with arrays. So we are now checking what those methods are. We could, so for my players array, I can use a method called as push method. Add, what does push method do is add element to the end of the array. So let's see how it works. I am adding a string called Virat here, and I'm how to do that, players. So upon this players array, I'm just adding, I'm using dot operator, players dot push of the string. What I need to add is Virat. Okay, so what does push method does? Push method adds this element to the end of the array, and now I'm just checking the console.log of players. So I'm executing this piece of code. It says Sachin, Rahul, Dhoni and Virat. Virat is added to the end of the array. So that's how push method works. So let's check what the array is printing. If we checked it, so it is printing, added with Virat. The new array is having 4 elements in it. So we also do something like console.log before pushing Virat. So I'm just giving console.log to check like what is showing before and after. So before it has only 3 elements and now it has 4 elements, and Virat is added to the end of the array. Now not just at the end, we can add something to the beginning of the array as well, and the method is unshift method. Just remember the names. Okay, add element to the beginning of the array. Players dot unshift of, I'm just adding Azhar, Azhar, you know, right? Azharuddin. So I'm just adding that particular cricketer name to the beginning of the array. I'm saving this file and executing this piece of code. I did not console log it. So I need to console.log to check the output. Now if you see, Azhar is added to the beginning of the array and Virat is added to the end of the array. So this is how unshift method and push method works in real time. And so I can add elements to the end as well as beginning of the array. Similarly, I can remove elements from the end of the array or remove elements from the beginning of the array. We have few more methods, and I can do something called as pop method. Pop is like opposite of push. Remove elements from the beginning of the array. Remove elements from the end of the array. Pop. Push and pop. Push adds and pop removes. Okay. So players. So how to write it? So what does basically pop method does is it removes the last element from the array, and the element that is removed is returned when we do console.log of players. Console.log of players.pop. Since it is a method, we are using opening and closing round brackets. Okay, I'm saving this file, executing this piece of code. So Virat is removed. So we are just printing, right? So it is saying that Virat is removed from that particular array. And now if you go ahead and check that particular array, you can see like Virat is removed. There is no Virat in it. And if you do console.log it, it says what is removed, and here in this case Virat is removed. I hope you got the point. So when I do a pop, we can see that it is printing the element that is removed from the end of the array. So here last element is being removed from the end of the array. So if I ask to print players again, it is showing me array of elements without Virat. It is basically removed. Similarly, I will be able to remove from beginning of the array. The method is shift method. This is opposite to unshift method. Remove element from the beginning of the array. In this example, let's check it how it works. So I'm just doing console.log of players start shift, and I'm also checking console.log of players. So it is basically removing and displays what is removed, and the final line number 19 is printing the entire array without Azhar. So you can see, right, Azhar is printed, which is removed from the beginning of the array, and we have the array which is without Azhar and as well as Virat. So both are removed. I'm sorry. So that is the use case of shift and pop methods. So now when I ask for my players array, you will see that it is returning only Sachin, Rahul, Dhoni without Azhar or Virat. So that's the use case of shift and pop methods. Keep in mind, length is a property. So the first thing that what we have observed, that is property, right? That is length. That is giving some information about us, about the array to us. So it is telling me the length of the array. So it is giving me some information about the array. So it is called as property. And all these are methods. What? Push, unshift, pop, shift, all these are methods, but length is the only property in arrays. Okay, and there are few methods. I can push an element to the end of the arrays. I can insert a record to the beginning of the array. I can remove an element from the end of an array, as well as I can remove an element from the beginning of the array. So these are the few things that we have covered till now. I can also do certain other things. I can check whether our players array is including a string called as Sunil. So I'm just checking for a player name, whether it is existing or not in the particular players array. So I'm just checking players dot includes method. I'm giving the string as Sunil. So this is includes method, checks for a given string in the array. So it basically does conditional check, like whether this string is present in an array or not. So Sunil is not there here, right? So it returns false. Returns boolean, basically either true or false. Includes method boolean. So if I run this piece of code, it says false. And if I check for an existing player, let's say like Dhoni, I'm just saving this file and executing. It is coming back and telling us that it is true because Dhoni is there. So does it contain Sachin? I'm checking for Sachin as well. So you can see that it will come back and tell me truth. So it is true. Like, yes, my players array contains Sachin. So to conclude, these are some of the methods natively present in the array. Very, very useful ones. And array are the most important data types that you need to learn and you need to remember for the rest of your course as well as your new job. Okay, so focus most of your time on the arrays, on learning all these methods in arrays. See what is the return type of all these things. For property called as length, the return type is a number, and for all other things the return type may be string or an array. So you have to check what is the return type as well. So let's say for this includes method, the return type is boolean. For shift method, the return type is string, if you print it. And for pop method, it is string. The players remains an array. Again, if you run players every time, it is an array, no doubt in it. And this is how array methods will work. I'll see you in the next class. Thank you.